Long story short, I met Nico actually on Instagram.
Yeah.
I saw you were doing I think you followed me and I saw you were doing like some entrepreneurial thingy.
Yeah.
Like Imperial Entrepreneurial Goose.
Yeah.
And I was starting this review podcast and I was like, you know what? That guy seemed quite cool.
Yeah.
So I DM'd you like, hey, do you want to come on my podcast? And you were like, yeah. And then you came on, we had a really great conversation. Yeah, I just knew you were going to build something great, even as a student, but you've stopped your previous company. And now since meeting in November 2023, you've featured in Forbes, you've raised $4.1 million, you've built an AI startup from scratch, you've got a team, you've faced health issues, you've got a first-class degree, you've done a lot since you as a student in 2023. And yeah, it's just been inspiring to watch what you do, but I think people don't understand what it takes and what you've been through to get what you have.
I'm always really wary of when people introduce me this way, because I don't consider myself successful in any way. I think people overvalue fundraising because it's not a reflection of how the company's doing, what your customers think of you. It's just a reflection of your performance over 3 to 6 months of talking to people and how well you can sort of manufacture trust, and play those like dynamics, which I think we were good at. But now, the hardest part is yet to come, right?
Even though you say raising doesn't make you successful, I made a lot of founders watching our podcast still dream of raising 4 or 5 million. How did you go about it?
I guess like first context, like Minitap, what we currently do is we help businesses managing multiple mobile apps to automate the quality assurance process of their mobile app, which is sort of figuring out whether your app is ready to be released to the app stores. With AI is the very simple description. And we do that with sort of models that we've trained to be able to do that. And the way that came about is, we were building, our previous startup was a mobile app.
I remember that, Fuego.
Yeah. So, we've definitely faced the pain, both of, sort of how slow it is to build a mobile app in general. You've seen other consumer founders building mobile for many, many reasons I won't go into, is just incredibly slow, even today with AI. And you're bottlenecked by a lot of things, including like the App Store release. So like when you release something to the App Store, it's gone. Like you can't do hot updates and try to fix any bugs that have come about. So let's say you push something to the App Store, nobody can actually process a payment. All of those users will not make any money ever again. Or if they delete the app, that's over, right? So that's why every company, no matter the size, has a very rigorous quality assurance process. And we had our own, which was just like we were testing amongst ourselves. And nevertheless, we would still release things which had bugs, and it's like the end of the world. And today, the problem is larger because people are shipping with, AI coding tools. So you have this anxiety. I don't actually exactly know what I've written in terms of code. I'm building, and I'm building a lot faster than I used to. And the rate at which I can test that everything works correctly is much, can't keep up with the rate at which I'm building. And that's especially true for like, for example, app studios, which manage like, 10 to 15 apps. The most famous one is Bending Spoons. You've got Voodoo. Voodoo, for example, has, they're the ones who acquired Be Real. So, so they're building, 15, 20 apps in parallel. They're building them really fast. You ship them to the App Store. You have this huge anxiety that, this better work. Otherwise, all the users who download it are going to get something broken. And I need to wait 2 weeks until I can release it again.
How do you and your team build these AI agents?
I think a lot of it is trial and error. So this benchmark was like a really good way to figure out what level of performance we were operating at already. And so we would sort of run this benchmark. It's like 116 different tasks that an agent needs to be able to perform on different apps that they provide you with. We had a bit of open source traction. We had a lot of hype on Reddit. That was it. And frankly, like I knew that the use case we were interested in was quality assurance, but it's like maybe there's other things people want to do with it. We'll see what happens. But we had some users of the framework, but not customers. So anyways, we're like, fuck it, we'll pitch anyway, see what happens. So we pitch, and we have like the first meeting with an investor. It's like a great, French investor, been in Silicon Valley for 30 years. Have a first meeting with him, and it goes well, right? It goes super great. We're like, okay, it's gonna be so easy to raise this. And then second meeting, we got like absolutely destroyed by his business partner. He was saying like, okay, cool, like you have this cool technology, but who on earth is buying this? Like, why should someone care about it? I didn't have the answers to that question. And even worse, like we get to the last slide, I was presenting the pitch deck. I was like, so we're raising $3 million, and then he was like, okay, what are you going to do with this money? I had no clue. Subsequently, after that meeting, I sat down with Luke, my co-founder, and we're like, okay, we actually need to figure out a lot of things about this business. And it was through this like iterative process of pitching people, getting rejected, pitching people, getting rejected, changing the story. In parallel, we also had to stay on top of this benchmark. So like, I remember at one point, there was this lab called Zippo AI. They released a model, and then they got posted, they were above us. And I was thinking, oh no, it's over. Like, we're not going to raise. Then the team in France, we already had, like 3 engineers in France, just went on a like massive grind to outperform everyone again. And all of this was during the raise. We also got like our first customer during the raise. And so we could email the investors we were talking to saying, oh, by the way, we got the customer, we know what they want. So like a lot of the answers came as we were raising. And I think the message, I think the lesson I learned is that a lot of people overplan.
Yes, yeah.
And then I remember, I think you had a question around like planning and like strategizing. I think this is like the number one mistake people make. Had we planned, we would not have reached a better outcome. We would have just done it a lot slower. The idea that action produces information anyways. And I could either think about something or I could do something. And maybe I'll fail, but through that process, I'll have learned more than if I had just thought about it. And so that was really the mindset during the race. In total, we probably spoke to, I think, 420-ish investors. The first ones went like horribly wrong, like it terribly. And also what we were pitching was different because we hadn't figured out the business. And then as we went, I think the pitch deck must have changed like every day. So like some mornings we would wake up with Luke, like, okay, had a few realizations, like, should we just change everything, like change the whole pitch we've been doing to this? And then that's kind of how we kept evolving. And then eventually, we got a few angel checks. Then we got the first check from a US VC, and then shortly after that, we were like super oversubscribed. Well, I think even before then, we were already oversubscribed. There was a moment, and there was a turning point. Either we were pitching it right, it resonated more, or we had more traction. I don't know what played a role. I think a combination of everything. And then from like one day to the next, we were like oversubscribed, which was a weird feeling.
Yeah.
And then we were raising 3 million. I'd go, okay, we'll raise 4 instead. See how far we can take it. Raise 4 million. And I do think people are too stingy with equity. I think, when you've got a month of runway left, you would have wished that you raised a couple million more. I think we're at a time where capital is fairly abundant. It's definitely easier to raise now than in other market cycles. And so, yeah, and I think, I'd rather have a smaller piece of a larger pie and 100% of nothing, right?
Yes.
Which, I think exactly, and I think the same is true for co-founders, that people fighting over like 5% equity. Like, why do you care, right? Whether you make 20 million, 50 million, like whether you make 50 or 51 million, does that really make a difference? It doesn't, right? So that's sort of my mindset towards it. Even the early employees, I think, need to feel valued. So we give way above market equity to all of our early hires. Also because I believe that I don't like this idea that, people are sort of pawns, and then you can just get fired one day to the next and then hire someone else for the role. And like, this is something which I just really disliked about Silicon Valley startup culture. It's just like fire fast, hire fast. I like to hire slow. Really hire people based on who they are, their DNA, their ambition, and then keep them and make a long-term bet on someone. I think this is like a much better way to build a company and to build a culture. So that's what we always do. We do like really long interview rounds.
Because even NVIDIA, the guy said that he rarely fires people, doesn't he? Did he say that?
That he rarely fires people. Then I love that. I haven't heard him say that. The Jensen Huang.
Yeah, I think he said that, unless you leave, he keeps people like, he's like, let's help you improve. But,
Exactly. And pushing people to their limit to improve.
so what's your philosophy around hiring?
Yeah, I think a lot of it I also learned from EWAR, I think. First of all, I think originally I had underestimated how hard it is to hire great people. It's so hard to find great people. I thought it was just gonna be, I'll put a LinkedIn post and get like a million applicants and then just sift through and have like too many great people to talk to. It's not the case. It's really hard. Nah, it's so hard. So that's the first thing. I underestimated how hard it is to hire great people and to find them, and B, how important it is.
If you write the right LinkedIn posts, you don't find the best people.
Hot take. I do
Hot
think
take,
it's true.
okay.
I do think it's true.
I just don't think your marketing manager. I think you don't have a list of 10,000 great people to work for you.
You think?
I know.
Hot take.
Yeah, for sure. People who write a certain way, like even Fia, have you seen them on LinkedIn? This sort of fashion tech startup.
No.
Through their LinkedIn posts, they get about 100 qualified people.
Yeah.
Every time they post. And they say exactly who they're looking for. There's only type of people that resonate with the way they write.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe I don't have that quality.
We'll say that, but like
I'll get it eventually. But then it's just outside of just qualifications. Like you asking about my philosophy. My philosophy is that the world was not built by people who readily had the skills, but by people who had the ambition to become the best in their field. Even though in the moment they were interested with the role, they knew nothing, right? So I tried to hire people based on their like DNA. Spend a lot of time talking about, their childhood, what motivates them, all the side projects they've done, why, so like spend a lot of time on that. And then a little bit talk about their skills, but I don't really care about the skills too much. So finding people with DNA that's aligned with you is really hard.
I think there's no patience in people that, they can't get stuff done now. I just don't want, but let's buy them.
Yeah.
Why? If you invest time in someone, see what they can create because you've invested in that potential.
Yeah. And also like all the people we've hired, even if they were not super qualified on day one, have put in the hours. Like they're going to be in the office from their own, obviously their own will to learn from like 9 to 1 a.m. They just because A, super passionate, and B, they just really want to be the best in that field. So I think it's a combination of distance traveled, obviously intelligence, but I think everyone is intelligent in different ways, and ambition to be the best in a specific field you're passionate about.
Yeah, you want someone to be hungry, don't you?
Yeah.
And want to be better.
Yeah.
You can't teach that.
Yeah. And I think when I think of Luke and I think I would fit myself more into those categories. That we went to a really terrible school in France. We were in like a tiny village all the way to, going to Japan, Imperial, like these good unis. Within these unis, sort of growing also like in our academic performance and our extracurricular activities, because of this hunger to, use our brains to the fullest, or I don't know what insecurity we're fighting. I don't know, but
what do you think it is?
Deep down, I've been trying to think about this. This is what I was like sat down at Miami Ultra, like
the Miami Ultra,
listening to like house music, and you're like,
Pitbull.
Why am I doing this? Who are we?
Who are you trying to impress?
I really don't know. I think every founder, I think, is either super passionate about a super niche topic and has always been.
Yeah.
Like Demis Hassabis always says, you know, like you see videos of him at UCL being like AI, like we need to build artificial intelligence. Yeah.
And no one told him to that. Some, I agree with that.
Yeah, and some are just have some deep sense of insecurity or something like that that they're trying to fight against. And I think both end up successful, but I think I'm definitely the latter. I'd be lying to say, you know, I've always wanted to do quality assurance. I've always loved. No, it's interesting. Like I do enjoy the topic that we're doing, and I enjoy, you know, the impact it has on the people we give the product to. But you know, I didn't know about this topic before, and I definitely always loved mobile apps, but I wouldn't say I loved this particular topic. That'd be a lie. But I have always had the same drive, though. Yeah.
One of the most searched topics on YouTube is how to build an AI startup. So, you know, for someone who is building an AI startup today, how could they use AI agents?
I think step one is find an industry you genuinely care about. I think this is like undervalued. Like there's a book I read recently called The Terrifying Art of Finding Customers, which is a great book. But we met the author in San Francisco. You know, the first step he shares is what was keeping him going when he was building this CRM startup. Even though there's so many CRMs, is that you know he was a sales guy, and he felt like the fact that his product didn't exist was letting his co-workers, his co-salesmen down. And that was like a sense of guilt that he had because he felt close to people he was working with, and he felt like, you know, they could be doing so much better, but because what I want to build doesn't exist yet, I'm letting them down. If you don't have that, I feel like, and you're obsessed with making money selling, you're never going to build a good product. Like at its core, it comes from empathy from the end user. So that's step one, is actually find the market you care about. Then step two is finding a problem that's both high magnitude, urgent, and frequent. Second is you do exploratory customer discovery to speak to different people in the industry. It's quite broad, and you ask questions around their like the softwares that they use in their day-to-day life, which ones they like, which ones they dislike, why. Then you ask, you know, you could ask things like, if I could solve one problem for you right now, like what do you think that would be? What impact would that have on you? On a scale of 0 to 10, like how satisfied are you with your current way of solving the problem? On a scale of 0 to 10, how important is this to you? So you can also like have an actual numerical value to like different problems that people told you about. That helps to cluster later. And then we would get post-it notes of everything people have mentioned. There's jobs to be done and pain points. So jobs to be done, giving the example of, let's say, Uber, is what people hire the product to do. So you hire Uber to get you a taxi. That problem of getting it, like the job of getting a taxi existed before Uber, right? Getting more money is like a problem that existed before Uber. Tracking contacts existed before CRMs. And then pain points is all the hurdles in their current journey, which stop them from getting this job done in with their current way of working. And so we track all of those. We tie them to different customer groups. So we say, okay, this is like an app agency. This is like a consumer mobile app of this size. This is like an app studio. And we try to find the patterns, like where is there overlap? Where is there different overlap? Where is there not? So you can cluster them by like process, like where in their journey, where in their life does this fit in. You can cluster them by ICP, like who faces what, and then by representing this in physical post-it notes, you start to gain clarity on, okay, like now I know who faces what problem and where there seems to be the highest density of post-it notes when you actually do this. Or we did it. Maybe we'll show it. This was like an incredible thing to do, like give us a lot of clarity.
When you know who your customers are, how do you go about reaching out to them?
LinkedIn, and then it's a flywheel. So anyone that you meet, you ask for an introduction to someone else in the space. And people, if you're like natural, really keen and very passionate, which we hope to be.
People
People recommend or like we'll just introduce you to someone else, and then we'll reach back out to them and say, hey, like we built this one thing, would you be willing to give me feedback? Then once we've done that, we say, you know, what would I need to build for you to pay me for this thing? And then gradually you reach something which people pay for. So that's one of the many processes, but there is a process to get there. So that's the good news, is that it's not an art. It is a process. Actually, my belief since like maybe December is that everything is a process. Everything's a pipeline. Like
everything's sales, isn't it?
everything's well, not necessarily a sales pipeline, or it's sales pipeline is a process as well.
Yes, yeah.
Product management is a process. Software engineering is a process. Task management is a process. Everything is a Kanban board. Like you go on our Notion, everything is a Kanban board, and all the Kanban boards are linked. Like,
because even maybe this is not exactly what you're saying, but I feel like in life I've just come to realize that everything is a process, it's a pipeline. This sounds so bad, but friendship, relationships, like no, I know maybe I should be saying this, but it is just numbers. Like I don't know, maybe.
Numbers game.
Yeah, a numbers game, not like, but it's just, people are like, how do I get more friends? Well, you just spend more time. You do that. Like it's just like.
Yeah. Do you make like a process for your dates or something?
I don't know.
You have a Notion page?
No, but the thing is, it is numbers though.
Yeah.
Like, if you talk to few people, you are less likely to find. But then people do find the one in the streets. But I mean, like generally, like.
I had a friend who would like, all the people he was talking about on Instagram, he would classify like leads. It would put like lead, warm, like dispatch. Because you can segment people on that when you have a professional account. You can like send people like a sales pipeline. It was doing that for his
How many girls was he talking to on Instagram?
Who knows?
Having girls in a pipeline, because of the new way of view life, I don't think that's that bad.
Exactly.
I feel like that could be controversial, but hey, if you segment
it, hot take. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, and how have you maintained relationships whilst being a startup founder? Segue into that.
I don't think I have. I think I've lost a lot of friends. We mentioned it in like
the first one, didn't we?
The first one. I think it doesn't help that we're in San Francisco a lot, so we fly back and forth a lot. So naturally we use contact with a lot of people. I think I try to make it more of an active effort to see my friends and stuff, and I guess the fact that my friendship group is narrowed also helps in that respect, to split your time now between people. I think eventually you kind of suffer from it though. Like even if you're successful and you're by the end you're like fully alone, what was the point of all of it, right? So, and like I said last week, I was on holiday. I think that was like one of the first holidays I've taken in ages, and I was like, whoa, like the impact of a break on like your clarity of thought, it is insane. I think this like no breaks SF culture is like completely silly. Like,
but you're just being real. It has collected them full stop. You would.
Yeah. Frankly, yeah. Is it avoidable? Probably. I'm probably also not the most organized person ever. Like I think I'm like super ADHD and disorganized at the same time and stuff. So I think founders with better organization maybe would manage to keep their relationships intact.
Is that something that makes you sad, or you're like, I thought my few people, I'm working towards something bigger?
It used to. Occasionally it does. But yeah, I mean, at its core, I think I'm really happy with my team. So it's kind of like one big friendship group at the end of the day that we spend all of our time with. And sometimes we argue, and I think it's part of the process. But I'm really thankful that they're there. We don't get along so well.
Brilliant. And Is there any tools you use to be more productive, like AI tools? Because I remember you told me about Script, which really helped me with editing,
Yeah.
like finding quick
Yeah,
tips. I wanted
the
to
script
say-
is crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really good, isn't it?
yeah.
Mm.
So what do I use to be more productive? Notion. Notion agents is like one of their new features. It's insane. Um, I have like we have a few like open clause setups in the company, but I think but I do think that it's like very easy to over engineer these things and get very minimal outcome, you know. So we have one, it's quite funny, like in React store messages and stuff in the Slack, like, you know, autonomously just like troll people and stuff in the chat. So like outside of the serious chats. And it also, you know,
Oh, do
like
it
send
for you.
recaps. Yeah. But mostly we have agents on Notion doing everything. Like everything is automated. CRM's on Notion as well. It's like fully is automated. You should get Luke on the podcast. He did all those. My personal life, I use Blitzit. It's like a to-do list app. Um, and the reason I like it is in the morning, I'll try to write down all my tasks for the day. Well, I have all my tasks for the week. I'll pick the tasks that matter for the day. I'll have a quick discussion with Luke. Okay, this is what we need to get done. I'll drag them over. And then you can set the estimated time that you think it'll take you. And instead of, it's like Pomodoro timer, but instead of counting up, it counts down from that time that you set. So then you get, as the time goes down,
That's a bit okay.
you get increasing pressure. Like, oh, I told myself I'd do it in an hour. I need to like go faster. And I like seeing that timer. It's like in the top left of your screen. So I like Blitzit. Um, superhuman for emails.
What is it about Superhuman? People say it's game changing, but it's so expensive. It's like £80 a month.
30.
What is it, 30?
30 a month. Yeah.
Oh.
30 a month. It's insane. It's insane. It's one of my favorite products ever because your inbox gets so crowded with stuff, right? Like you've got ads, you've got, you know, a lot of people emailing you as well, investors or whatever. Especially during the fundraise, like you're getting spammed because everyone's found out you're fundraising. All the VCs in the world want to talk to you. The great thing about Superhuman is, firstly, if you press, it'll sort your inbox, so you only get the most important stuff in there. And then if you press E, it's gone from your inbox, but it's not deleted. It's just gone. You don't see it. And if you press H, you get a reminder, so it'll leave your inbox and it'll come back at a specific time you set. So like, you just had it out of your mind. You know it'll be back when you need to actually look at this email.
And it's brain like space of having to think.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then your goal is to like inbox 0 every day, which is clear your entire inbox. Not necessarily delete it, but it's like fully cleared, right? And so it gives you like an objective moment of like, oh, okay, I've answered all my emails, or like all the stuff that's important has been done. And you don't have a sense that you might have forgotten something. Like that's why I like it so much. And it's also really sleek and
Yeah. It's good to empty your brain of stuff, isn't it?
exactly. Yeah. And I do the same for WhatsApp. I do Beeper is super human for WhatsApp. I do the same workflow. Like I press whenever I answered something, press E, it's done. It's gone from your inbox. And it bundles
I'm gonna write this stuff down.
it bundles your LinkedIn, WhatsApp, and Instagram together.
Does it?
Yeah.
But
That's
you know what? I find messages might be you probably getting way more than me. I just answer them as they come in, so I don't ever have to even
Really?
think about
I think during the day I don't want to answer them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and if I'm too tired in the evening, I won't answer them either. So at some point, I'll tell myself today I'm going to answer all my messages, and then I'll answer everything in one go. Yeah.
Brilliant. And just a bit of quick fire. What song do you play to lock in?
Now since Miami Ultra, I play
It's a Miami boy, yeah.
not even. I didn't think I'll go back.
Vibes.
Well, it's cool. It's cool vibes. It's just incredibly expensive and it's also like hard techno, which at least I don't know if it was just like that the week I was there, but I'm not a fan of hard techno. But the song I've been listening to is "I Want to Go," the John Summit.
Right.
Oh,
I love
it's my
that.
new favorite song since Miami Ultra. But I used to not listen to any EDM, and now here I am.
Here you are locked in there. I wanna go. I know that you said you've been spiritual, you've been exploring. I wonder,
Yeah.
do you ever rely on faith? Do you ever do any? Like, I'm just want to hear your thoughts.
You know, I had a phase where I think I was a lot more religious than I would consider myself now.
Mm.
I'll have my odd like prayer here and there, like if I get on the flight. And
Yeah.
that does happen. It happened recently. I had a dream
Mm.
on the flight, and I dreamt that the engine blew up and it was like crashing,
Mm.
and we were like in turbulence. So I guess my brain was like, "Oh, like you're actually dying right now." And I wake up and like the full speed, and then there was nothing there, and then I did like a quick prayer.
So what
uh,
was it? Thank God or saving me? Like,
like more of saving me kind of prayer.
mm.
Um, so
And what made you become not religious? Not that you were ever religious, but what sort of made you say less so now?
yeah, like do I somewhat agree with? Do I agree with the teachings of the Bible in terms of how one could live their life, or respect others and like interact with other people and stuff? Do I think that's an effective way to live life? Um, I think so. Yeah. But there's some fundamental things I just couldn't agree with when it came to uh, some things in the Bible being like, for example, being a bioengineer, I could not be a creationist, right? Like there's just too much evidence to go to show that this is not how the world was built, and no, and I respect everyone's beliefs, of course, right? This is just my own beliefs, to each their own belief, and I'll never judge people for their beliefs. But that was my belief, was that the earth could not have been created in 7 days. Or some people will say, that's 7 days could not necessarily mean
Like period
24
of
hours. It
times,
could be a
yeah.
period of time. But that was one thing. Other things were around, like, and it might have been just the church and that I went to, but just openness of mind when it comes to abortion, or when it comes to um, uh, homosexuality. I just think it's not aligned with the times and with my own beliefs on those topics. And so those were my struggles, and that's what led me to. But I think I've like I learned what I needed to learn from it.
Yeah, what have been some of your lessons in this journey?
Yeah, I think a lot of the things I learned in Silicon Valley and interacting with founders there. And in Europe, we tend to think that we can't be as successful as the Americans because there's more money, and then there's all these structural realities which are true. It's true that there's, I think it's 5 times more venture capital funding in the US than in Europe. But I guess the hope that I want to share and the learnings I want to share is that in the US, the capital followed the culture, right? And venture capital started as a willingness to give back after an exit to the next generation of founders. And that's what created venture capital. So the wave of hope for European founders is, I think, if there's a few things that Silicon Valley founders do differently, if we start doing as a collective, we'll create this ecosystem that we're lacking, and we're going to be able to together be just as successful as Americans. Um, and so the first thing that struck me is on investing in the individual, and not their pedigree. So now, what I try to do when I meet someone is ask myself not what they've currently proven, but what they could accomplish given what I know about them, and how passionate they are and things like that. It's like a major mindset shift because we're still very pedigree focused. That's why in the US you've got 19-year-old founders with no uni degree raising $10 million, right? We'll never have that in Europe. I've never seen that.
You never, yeah.
You'll never get that. It's still pedigree, good uni, which is not, as we see, not a predictor of success necessarily, right? Of course, I finished my degree, but and I have
Do
no
you know
regret.
what? I was gonna ask you that because I think you used to say, "Oh, drop out, build something," but you actually made the effort to finish your degree. Why was
Yeah.
that?
First it was my mum. I would
No.
have really disappointed her after all the pain and suffering of like paying for this degree, supporting me and stuff that we went through. And second, I just really liked it. I
These
just
are two very
really
good
liked my
reasons.
degree.
Yeah.
And I think it wouldn't have been valued in Europe from a startup perspective. I don't think that we would have, like, saying you're a dropout doesn't have the same effect in Europe as it does in San Francisco.
Just look at, oh, you can finish, which we could say is a culture issue, but I think it's you've made two very good points. You enjoyed the degree, you wanted to finish it.
Yeah, and you also end up in a lot less debt at the end than you would in the US. Like the student debt in the UK is huge, especially if you took a maintenance loan. But it's still not. I think Europeans end up about 2x, 3x that amount. So there's more of an incentive to not do it, given and how much debt you end up. Yeah. And it's also not the same student loan structure. Second thing is, that night when we went to pitch for the first time, originally we weren't too keen on pitching with Luke in a room full of investors with basically no traction. And then one of the founders in our hacker house we were staying in said, what if it works? And I think that's like a really powerful question that people don't ask themselves is, instead of sort of trying to anticipate failure, try to ask yourself the question of, what if it goes even better than I anticipated? And doing that first and then trying to think about failure is also a big mindset shift. And that's something which happens in Silicon Valley. Like sometimes one of our investors was telling us that in some of these board meetings, some people will raise the question of what if it goes even better than planned? Like, what do we do then? Right? Like,
wow, that's not something you hear in like British mentality.
Exactly.
It excels.
Now I'm sure it's like maybe he over exaggerated it in the way he explained it, but it is part of the culture to have this relentless optimism. What if it's even better than I anticipated? And so having this optimistic mindset. Obviously, go big or go home is a big thing in San Francisco. I'll skip that one. Another thing I noticed is the absence of this blame culture. Like every decision in Silicon Valley companies is collective, regardless of who had the idea to make this decision.
Yeah.
And when that happens and people sort of don't point fingers at each other, you then gain the confidence to propose innovative ideas or like sort of wild ideas, right?
I love being collective because some people, I think they say the best people, the best employees, or best members in a team, even if it was an idea, they get on board and they make it work. It's not like, oh, it's their idea. Don't we agree with it? Yeah. No, you're in or you're out,
Exactly. Disagree and commit. Some of the Amazon values.
Is it?
It is. Yeah. But I think it's true that's like a core idea is you really need to just like agree to disagree and then like but just don't have this culture of blaming. Like this is something we need to like majorly use. I think especially in France, there's definitely this culture of saying, "Oh, I told you so." That's a killer. Yeah, that's a killer of innovation. And the last thing I'll say is around giving back. I've been sort of drilling this on LinkedIn so much, but I was so surprised to see, incredibly successful founders just rocking up at the hacker house, sitting down on the couch and just talking to people and trying to give advice. And this is I think, in my opinion, the most important reason why Silicon Valley as an ecosystem just works. Because everyone feels like they were a product of the ecosystem, a product of their environment. And that's what they attribute their success to. And so they want to give back to the next generation. And I think when people get increasingly successful in Europe, become increasingly, unreachable.
Yes.
And they will not have this sort of humility to say, I'm actually a product of luck, the ecosystem, and the people around me, and so therefore I have to give back. And so I think by just making this tweak of getting into this habit of giving back, and at the scale of the ecosystem is where you're going to change a lot, because it's going to attract capital. It's going to people will be incentivized after an exit to give back in the same way financially. Advice is incredibly valuable. Most things you can only learn through these conversations. And so that's what I've tried to do. So now I do like 3 hours of free mentorship
Really
every
nice.
weekend. And I hope that eventually, the more I say it, more other people will say it, and then and you don't need to actually be successful. Like I said, I don't consider myself successful at all.
Just a step of ahead where that person
Exactly.
has to be, right? Yeah.
Exactly. If you're just one step ahead, you can help someone just one step behind you. And I think some people just need a little bit of, like, one conversation often can just give people that little bit of activation energy they need to get started or whatever they're passionate about.
I agree. There's this another podcaster called Tara. I don't know if you see her walking podcasts with these really big founders.
Maybe it's on Instagram.
It's on LinkedIn.
It's on LinkedIn.
But she was saying that in the UK, she tries to reach out to really big founders, and they're like, no, nowhere, like, we're not coming in your podcast. In America, billion-dollar founders are being like, oh, yeah, I'll come and give my advice. I'll come and do that. And she's like, why in Europe do people feel so like,
right,
they don't do anything for,
right,
yeah,
right. That's like, for example, at the residency, a couple of weeks before we were there, which residency is the hacker house we stayed at, Sam Altman just showed up, like, propped up, and was chatting like any other person. When we were there was like dozens of unicorn founders that came down and were just chatting with us as normal people. And I think what also enforces this humility on people is that in Silicon Valley, you sell for 300 million, you're like an average exit founder. Here you'd be on Shark Tank. You'd be
yeah.
You're like
Den giving you advice.
Dragon's Den. Yeah, Dragon's Den's the equivalent. You'd be on Dragon's Den giving advice to people and being like in a suit and stuff. I think there's just infinitely more successful than you in Silicon Valley. Then even if you're Sam Altman, you're still not, Elon Musk, Larry Page, or some Steve Jobs. You're not any of these people, or any white plus.
Yeah, I wonder why that is. Yeah, what is it, just about being more humble?
I think you're humbled by the fact that there's like infinitely more successful than you. Like, if you look at the gap between, even today still, between I don't know, OpenAI and Apple, Sam Altman is still not Steve Jobs in terms of building a company of that scale. So
he's got a lot of work.
I mean, they raised at like a 900 billion valuation, so they're getting there. But they don't have Apple's margins, so who knows where that's going to end up.
Yeah, getting Apple's margins is
yeah.
And just the final question: what does the future look like for you?
I think we keep doing what we're doing, keep trying to please our first customers. There's a saying by Paul Graham, which is I've never seen a startup fail by trying to please their first customers. Like, that's typically a really good indicator. So I'm trying to fight I'm trying to fight the urge of like scaling too early. It gets really stressful when you go on like Twitter and you see all these companies saying, oh, we made 100 million ARR in 8 months, whatever. I do feel that stress of like, maybe I'm not moving fast enough. But also I do think a lot of companies die because of premature scaling. And I want to get the conviction that our earliest customers really, really love us and can't live without us before I get to that. So first get to that, then scale.
I do agree with you. Like, there is a need to certain MRR, but like, if you delight the people that love you first, how are you going to go wrong?
Exactly. If they don't love us, like, what's the point of me spending millions on marketing and getting more customers that have no retention, right? It's what happened with Cluedy, for example. You know Cluedy?
That company, they were all over LinkedIn.
They're all over everywhere, right?
Okay. Even on billboards. Weren't they?
Billboards. They were all over Instagram, and they invested so much distribution, and they're great at it. And that's what I admire them for. But the product sucked, right?
What was it again?
Originally it was a thing to cheat. Like, it started off as a cheating on interviews, then it became cheating on everything, which was, the idea was on sales calls, like, you have little hints on like what you could say next, to, like, respond to this objection or whatever. And now it's just a meeting note taker. No, it is.
Fairs, yeah.
And then they
didn't
do
focus
only
on that
marketing.
one thing.
Yeah.
Are they still going?
They're still going. I think they're going strong. There was something around maybe Rory Lee, the founder, lied about the revenue they were making. It was actually less than what he said and stuff. But it doesn't change the fact that, I feel like if he was building something else, like a consumer type company, he'd make so much more money than what he's doing now.
Yeah.
They're just so good at it, marketing.
Yeah.
So.
And distribution for some companies is everything, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. If you're building consumer, some people are great at it and just born like that. Georgia Gibson, like all these people.
Great gal at distribution.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Nico, it's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Great to come back. Yeah, I think you're the first person to come on twice.
Really?
Yeah.
I think Georgia did it twice, right?
Oh, yeah, she did. Oh, yeah.
Georgia
was first. Georgia is now co-founders with Stephen Bartlett. So, yeah, another really impressive lady. But yeah, Nico, thank you so much for your insights, coming on again. Just replying to the first DM years ago. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what you build.
Maybe we'll see in a couple years' time, see where we're at.
Yeah, third time.
For the best.
Third time after, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Nico.
Thank you very much.